So not too long ago I remade Pokemon, but in 3D. However, my abilities in game dev have improved since then, and I decided that I wanted to have a go at remaking another game that I was familiar with. This was the original Zelda back from the NES days. Obviously I never played it when it first came out as I didn't exist back then, but I had played it on an emulator. I definitely owned the game during this time, of course. I just didn't have an NES, that's why I used a laptop. But yeah, let's get into this. To begin with, we first needed to create a character model. And after a few grueling hours, I ended up with this. And I don't think it's that bad, you know. Well, at least until I gave it some eyes. Now it looks like a demon child. Not really what the gamers would be comfortable seeing. So I gave him a new set of familiar eyes, and I personally think it's better. Next we needed movement. What's a game without movement? And I just did the standard thing and robbed someone else's movement script, and to be fair, it does work for this game, so it can stay. I then set up other mechanics that were core to the Zelda series, such as the sword attack. However, all didn't go as planned, as animating isn't really my strong suit. It sort of looks like you're gonna give them the roadman welcome. Like, yo, what end's you from? All seems to be going well, but then I remembered that I had the world building to look forward to. There were more optimum ways of going about this, but I decided to go with the way that I felt would be best in terms of actually using in the future in my own games. So therefore I used the terrain toolbox, and this is how it turned out. Wow, took me like an hour to do just this. Oh look, we've done it. If you're wondering how I got this far, well, I repeated this thing for the rest of the map. I also snipping tooled this texture off this picture that you've seen before and painted the map with it. There's also this bush that I copy and pasted all over the map about 2,000 times. And yeah, map. Oh, you're wondering where this water came from? Well, shaders and pipelines. I don't really know what that means, and there were a few moments where I thought my game had been corrupted. Now why is everything pink right now? And where's all the terrain that I spent hours on gone? Shit. I got there eventually, but still, I don't need that stress in my life. With all that sorted, I now needed to create the mobs that you fight in the game. First was the lever. It wasn't that difficult to create if I'm being honest with you, and he also lacked any complex movements, so he was ready pretty quickly. We then had the Octoroks, who were quite similar except the fact that they shoot rocks. Tektites, which all they do is jump. Again, quite simple. And Zoras, who just shot fireballs. Their movements were just randomized on a timer. We slapped on these blue textures for them too, and with that done, we had them all sorted. Caves are quite important to this game. That's literally the first thing you do when you start the game. You enter a cave and collect a sword. So I needed to create this for the remake. I jumped on Photoshop and made this thing. So it looks like a cave entrance, I guess. Either way, regardless, it will do. Now when you enter the cave, you're greeted by an old man with some fires around him. So after I made him and made a campfire using the particle system, this is what it looked like. We already have a sword and an attack animation, but up until this point they were all just for show. They don't actually do anything. So now that we had mobs to test them out on, I set it up so that when you attack, you project a sword from your body like you do in the actual game. And it also creates these things that spawn when the sword hits something. Another form of attack is the bomb, which you also do have access to right at the start of the game. I made this bomb in Blender, created this script to go along with it, and added particles to go with it. Now you have a bomb that destroys everything around it. Also can be used to access hidden areas, but more on that later. You can also get this bow, which is located in a secret place, and costs 1 rupee to shoot each arrow. The mobs drop loot, which includes bombs, rupees and health. The final thing is a candle, which you can buy at your local cave for a cheap price of 60 rupees. And once you do, you're able to shoot out a flame which can be used to access other hidden areas. Remember when I spoke about the hidden areas with the bombs? Well, you can find 2 extra hearts using these bombs to increase your health. Speaking about health, I added this UI. I know it's not the same as the original, but I went for this design anyway because it doesn't block up a lot of your screen, and we aren't playing on the NES. The original game used half hearts to represent the health, but I don't know how to do that, so instead I only used full hearts. And with that done, the overall is complete. The next thing we had to do was build the first dungeon. To To get started, I needed to find the map of the dungeon and then build around that. I made this cube, sized it to fit the room, and then flipped the normals. I needed the texture for the walls, but didn't want to take the one from the original as it wouldn't really work and it looked kind of shit, to be honest. Quality wise anyway. So I went on Photoshop and made these, which I think will do the job. All I had to do was line them up in the UV editor. After adding these light box looking things, the basic layout of the room was done. For the starting room I just added these statues and now it was done. However, the rest of the rooms were a lot more intricate, including things like blocks, mobs, spikes, water, and old men. So we had to get to work. The first two mobs weren't much of an issue as they had the same simple movement as the overall mobs and the designs were not too difficult to recreate. This one, however, not only did I have to do some inverse kinematics, we had some weird animations. Thankfully this worked in my favour though. There was also the wall master, but no one cares about them. They do still function though, and after making all these I set up all the rooms. Some had locks on the doors which you needed keys for, which you can get from the mobs. There are also doors that don't open until all enemies in the room are defeated. Everything is done except for the boss. I never made a dragon before, but I was looking forward to it. And it's not the best model I've ever produced, but it's not terrible at the same time. And after you beat him you get an extra heart container and collect a piece of the Triforce. This is pretty much the end of the game. You have enough hearts to get an upgraded sword, which does more damage and one-shots the stronger mobs. That's the end of this remake though. It was fun while it lasted, but I didn't want to make the rest of the dungeons as it would have taken way too much time and I wanted to start working on new projects instead. I think I did decently anyway and thought it would have been good enough for me to just leave it there. I'm not going to upload this game anyway as I've heard many other YouTubers say there are issues with Nintendo and fan games and I ain't trying to get sued before I've even made anything on myself, so no thanks. Anyway, that's all from me. Like this video and subscribe if you like this, and see ya.